Hello, my friends. This is Kathleen with Be Again Books, and I have finished the Dollar Tree journal. Well, not quite. Maybe not quite. I still have a couple things maybe that I need to do. But I need to tell you, there was a point in this project when I wasn't at all sure I was going to be able to say that I was finished. If you watch the first video in this little series, you know that I went to the Dollar Tree, I bought my supplies, I challenged myself to see whether I could make a beautiful junk journal using what I found there. I knew that I was going to not find a lot, and that was the case. Somewhere along the way, I really began to struggle with this project. The supplies, they didn't naturally seem to belong together, honestly, to begin with. Some of them were particularly hard to work with. I had the limited choices. For quite a while, I felt like I've just been making individual pages and elements, but not necessarily a cohesive journal. I had a strong vision of what I wanted it to look like, and you know that can be a problem sometimes. The journal is pretty much finished now, and I like it. There are things that I still don't like about it, but I generally like it, and I think in large part I've been able to manage my vision. I think I obviously could do a better job with my vision with other supplies, but I'm happy enough with this. Before I give you a complete finished, this is the flip through, I want to talk about 3 really simple design choices that I think kind of saved this project for me. Because these tricks, they're not just Dollar Tree tricks. They're actually principles that can help whenever you're working with mismatched supplies, limited materials, scraps from your stash, or just when a project isn't coming together the way you hoped. And maybe you're in the middle of that. Maybe you're experiencing the same thing in your Dollar Tree project that I did. Maybe it's just not going well. Yeah, so I'm going to give you a little preview of the finished journal today, but I want to show you 3 things that finally made it work for me. So the first thing is to repeat your strongest color. So I knew in the beginning, as I showed in the last haul video, I knew that this black color was going to be a key to my design. You know, I didn't start out with a collection of beautifully coordinated papers like I sometimes do that had all been designed to work together. I had the playing cards, I had the crossword puzzle, I had some markers, but they didn't necessarily have anything in common, but I realized that I had the black. And so once I began to deliberately repeat the black, you know, throughout the journal, it became the thread that ran from page to page. So here's black, here's black, here's black, here's black, here's more black, here's black. And then I kind of did the same thing with the red and the gold. There's the red. Here's a peak of red on the back of that page. Here's red here. Here's red. Here's red. Gold. So I did the same thing as the black with the red and gold. I didn't need every page to contain every color. But I thought that repeating those colors often enough would help create a visual rhythm throughout the journal. And I think this is an important distinction cohesion doesn't mean everything has to match. It just means that the eye needs to keep finding familiar things, familiar color, a familiar shape, familiar pattern. Those repeated elements reassure our eye in a way. They say, yes, this belongs here. This black contrast did an enormous amount of work for me. It defines, really, this journal. The second thing that kind of brought this journal together was something I don't think I was even fully conscious of at first, and it was the repetition of the lines and geometric patterns. So I think the crossword pages became more important than I thought they would be. They gave me these very strong black lines, little squares, the grids. Once I started paying attention, I realized that that geometric feeling would come in other places throughout the journal. So, coming back to this page, so we have these little black lines, everywhere. The Art Deco style is really based on lines and strong geometric lines. And so as I tried to make these designs, these geometric designs, and focused on the black particularly, I think that really, made it a stronger design idea, maybe than even I had thought. So I've added, these strong geometric patterns with both red and the black, but mostly the black. I've put these lines as often as I can, kind of throughout the journal. I've got these lines. So I think that was helpful. Lines, grids, squares, rectangles, strong edges. Yeah, that becomes another thread kind of that moves through the journal. So I think one of the most useful things we can learn is when we think about repetition, we often think only about color, but you can also repeat a shape. So you don't have to just use the same flower over and over again, or the same piece of paper over and over again. You can repeat a shape. You can repeat a line. You can repeat the feeling of a pattern without actually repeating the same pattern. So on a playing card, for instance, you've got this pattern of the square in the middle of the card, the shapes that are in the middle of the card. So you can see side by side, these two are not the same. They're not the same, but the feeling, it's repeated. So even though this is not the same as the crossword grid, that's still kind of a grid. It's organized. This is organized. You can see that. And it's that strong organization that is the repetition. Things that are organized, symmetrical, they just have a feeling of a pattern. I hope that makes sense. And then I think finally, the last kind of strongest detail, I think, that changed everything for me was the paint splatter. I know it's a simple thing, but I really think this was the finishing touch that made the biggest difference. So you can see there's paint splatter here. There's paint splatter here. There's no paint splatter here. There's paint splatter here. paint splatter here. Yeah, there's paint splatter here and paint splatter here. So you can see the repetition of that element. I think the paint splatter does two different jobs in this journal. First, it creates unity because this same kind of mark appears on these different pages and different elements. It connects them. So the craft paper page and a playing card may not naturally have anything in common, but once some of the same marks and colors begin appearing throughout that whole project, then they start to feel related. And then I think the splatter does something else that's just as important. It kind of breaks up all of those straight lines. So this journal has a lot of geometry. It has a lot of straight lines. Even though these lines are not completely straight, they're still straight in the way that the pattern is organized and even. And like I was pointing out on the playing card, it's organized, but the splatter just kind of loosens that up. I think without this splatter, something to kind of loosen up all of these lines, the journal maybe would have felt kind of rigid, too organized. And maybe it's just because I am not a symmetrical kind of girl. I don't like rigid balance. But the paint splatter is completely irregular. You can't control how much is going to drop. You can't control where it lands. It's very loose and it's organic. And that unpredictability, I think, is what really appeals to me. And so I think that's exactly what all of these straight lines needed, is just a little bit of unpredictability. And so the geometry gives the journal structure, but the splatter gives it some movement and some action. Perhaps that's why this detail didn't feel so much like a finishing touch to me. It didn't just decorate the pages, it balanced them in my mind. So when I'm looking through the journal now, I can see three things moving through it again and again. I can see the color and contrast, definitely contrast. I can see the loose, irregular marks of the paint splatter. I can see the strong geometric patterns. But I don't think any one of these things alone would have been enough. I think it's the repetition of it that matters. The black on one page connects to the black 3 pages later. The crossword grid connects to the hand-drawn lines somewhere else. The paint splatter crosses over everything and it creates that final layer that kind of belongs to the whole journal. And this project reminded me of something that I think is really useful in any journal or any creative project that isn't kind of coming together. Before you add more things, just look at what is already working and repeat it. You may not need another embellishment. You may not need another color. You may not need to go shopping for something new. Maybe you just need to identify the strongest element that's already there and let it appear again somewhere else. And that's what's finally worked for me, I think, here. So now, I haven't given you a complete flip through today because I want to do that in another video. I want to go through it page by page. I want to talk about, how the materials worked for me, why I was struggling with some of the materials. But I want to do something more than just show you the pages. This whole Dollar Tree challenge has left me thinking about some bigger questions. Yes, I made the journal, and yes, I think I found a way to make the materials work. but was it worth it? I think what I want to address is some of the questions that come up with this kind of a project. Are inexpensive craft supplies always a good value just because they're inexpensive? Is there a point when working around limitations of a challenge or of a material costs us more in frustration, time, and brain space, creative energy than we maybe expected? And on the other hand, can limitations sometimes push us to be more creative, to solve some of the problems that we wouldn't otherwise have had to solve? I have some thoughts about that now. I honestly thought about throwing this away at one point. On Saturday, I want to give you the complete flip through with, the flower, and show you how I have done the elements. But I also want to tell you the rest of the story, which is what I learned from this challenge. To answer my question, did I make a beautiful journal? Yes, I think I did. But what do I think about the project now that it's finished? And would I really do it again? And how do you respond to supplies, inexpensive things, that don't work? But for today, I hope you'll take these 3 ideas with you in your own projects. Repeat the colors that are already working. Look for lines, shapes, and patterns that can create a visual rhythm. And find one finishing detail maybe that can move throughout the whole project and help pull things together. Because sometimes when a project doesn't seem to be working, the answer is not to throw it away. Maybe it is. But sometimes the answer is already there. You just have to repeat it. So thanks for spending your time with me, and I will see you Saturday for the finished journal and the final answer to this Dollar Tree challenge. See you then.